Well, I've always been interested in blood, how it spills from us, what it means to us, how we keep it in us, what its dangers are, what its kind of almost magical properties are. Blood is quite unique. You can lose a lot of it and still live. You can give it, you can receive it. There are too many other parts of the body that are like that, and it fascinates us. There's no part of the body that I think mesmerizes us as fully as blood does, so it was natural to end up writing a book about blood and identity of blood and how we see it. I've had a lifelong obsession with blood, and I'm not the only one. As both substance and symbol, blood reveals us, divides us, and unites us. We care about blood because it spills literally and figuratively into every corner of our lives. Blood keeps you alive, for sure. Yet the very blood in your veins can suddenly betray you. One day you feel healthy and you've just hiked up a mountain with the person you most love in the world. And the next day, what you thought was a routine blood test tells you that you have prostate cancer and they'd better decide pronto if you're going to opt for surgery or radiation or tempt the gods by doing nothing at all. Blood is a lubricant of our bodies. It's a river circulating oxygen and supplying nutrients to our cells. But it's more than a sign of your physical health or an omen of your mortality. It has the potential to reveal your most hidden secrets. How's your cholesterol? How much booze have you had? Have you been taking drugs? Are there any other residual traces that might scare off an employer or lead a life insurance company to show you the door? What's been the average amount of sugar in your blood over the past 90 days? Are you the father of that child? Did you cheat in that Olympic snowboard competition? Remember Ross Rubagliati? The BC resident won gold in snowboarding at the 1988 Winter Olympics in Japan. Testers found traces of marijuana in his system. Rubagliati was briefly stripped of his medal, but he won it back after arguing that he had inhaled a drug by means of secondhand smoke at a party. Last year, some 15 years after successfully winning back his Olympic medal, Rubagliati launched a chain of medical marijuana shops. It's called Ross's Gold. True story. Well, in many ways, our conceptions of blood are evolving at the speed of light. I mean, we know so much more about it than we did 200 years ago. It's unbelievable how much we've come to know about blood. A few hundred years ago or less, we still believe crazy things like that you could perhaps transfuse the blood of a calf into a psychiatrically disturbed person to help calm their troubled mind or something. So we've really gone a great distance in some respects. In other ways, perhaps not. I mean, in the 14th century, or I should say 15th century in Spain, during the Spanish Inquisition, people were being murdered and deported, expelled from Spain as a result of their so-called impure blood, if they were of Jewish or North African descent. And we continue to see holocausts and genocides perpetuated partly on the crazy notion of blood impurity, even in the 20th and 21st centuries. So in some ways we've graduated, in other ways we're still perpetuating historic mistakes. It's sobering to imagine how many patients have died from bloodletting over thousands of years. The victims include many famous people. In 1685, Charles II took to his bed one night with a sore foot. The next day, a barber shaved his head and the bloodletting began in Whitehall Palace. In addition to enduring purges and red-hot irons, Charles had 24 ounces of blood withdrawn from his arms. He suffered a seizure and died. Napoleon survived the bloodletting and is known to have described medicine as the science of murderers. Mozart is thought to have died of shock from bloodletting. George Washington lost his life a day after more than 2 liters of blood were taken from him to help him get over a cold. To me, the interesting thing about bloodletting is how thoroughly it reflected our belief systems and how long it endured. For 2 millennia, we believed that a healthy body and a healthy mind should not be burdened by too much blood. So we let our blood run to remove impurities from our body. We let our blood run because we had imaginations. Ever since, we've been obsessed with the idea of balancing our minds and bodies and improving the composition of our blood. Well, I'd say the most important thing to an aspiring writer is to write and to read. To read a great deal in the areas that you're fascinated by. So if you love to write science fiction, you should be reading science fiction by the barrel load. You know, if you're interested in writing about women in the 19th century, you should be reading other novels and works of nonfiction about women in the 19th century. So you should be reading a lot in the area that makes you passionate as a writer, and you should be writing a lot, and you should be writing and ripping up your work and rewriting it and ripping it up and rewriting it again. Writers get good by rewriting and having sort of the fortitude to spend time alone writing. So often I say the most important thing to a writer is GYAIC, which stands for get your ass in chair. If you really want to write, it's not all that romantic. You have to shut out the world and get comfortable with yourself, believe in yourself, and write. And then write more, and then write more again. Being an all-around contrarian, my mother is not known for her tact. A year ago, when I told her that I'd been invited to deliver the Massey Lectures, she said, "Hey, that's great, Larry, but why'd they pick you?" This same mother of mine keeps her favorite quote posted to her refrigerator door. It's said to come from the lips of the writer Philip Roth. Quote, "When a writer is born into a family, that family is finished."